Most people aren't trying to buy a house. He's trying to buy a feeling, the feeling of security, the feeling of finally having arrived somewhere, the feeling of proving to parents, friends, Instagram, and even yourself that adult life is working. Because, at some point, the house ceased to be just a place to live. She became a trophy. It became an invisible certificate saying, "I did it." And if you want simple explanations about economic risks before they affect your wallet, subscribe to the channel. Now comes the hard part. The same house that should make you feel safe can become exactly what makes your life fragile. The same key that seems like freedom can become a chain. The same room where you imagine resting could become the place where you open your banking app with dread, not because buying a house is wrong, but buying the wrong house, for the wrong reason, at the wrong time, can turn a dream into a monthly pressure that leaves you breathless. And that's the point of this video. You don't need to buy the house that impresses everyone else. You don't need to buy the house that seems perfect in your head. You need to buy a house that fits your real life, in your actual income, based on real risks, in your actual routine, based on the actual ability to get through a difficult month without falling apart. Because a house shouldn't be an expensive fantasy. It should be a place that protects the life you actually live. It's the guest room. It's the home office. It's the beautiful countertop, the perfect renovation, the fresh paint job, the feeling of opening the door and thinking, "Now I finally made it." This is the nice version of the story. This is the house seen on the first day. The problem is that the risk almost never appears on the first day. The risk appears in the 17th month. When the water heater breaks down, when insurance premiums go up, when the tax increases, when the Residents Association sends an extra bill, when your electricity bill is higher than you expected, when the car needs repairs in the same month that the house needs repairs, when the payment that seemed tight but manageable starts to feel like a closing wall. A fantasy show at home decorated. Real life shows the house functioning. And a functioning house costs money. It costs to maintain. It costs tax. It costs insurance. Mobile cost. It costs a curtain. It costs a lot. It takes time. It requires mental energy. It costs you a weekend that you thought would be relaxing, but instead you spend it going to the hardware store. And that doesn't mean buying a house is bad. This means that the actual house needs to be judged by the real life that comes after the purchase. Not because of the picture in the ad, not because of the renovation video, not because of the idea that, when you have that key, everything inside you will finally calm down. Because if the house only exists in your imagination, but not in your budget, it won't give you peace of mind. She demands peace from you every month. If it were just math, people would open a spreadsheet, look at income, debt, savings, taxes, insurance, maintenance, and that's it. The decision had already been made, but human beings don't work that way. We buy houses out of fear, by comparison. Ashamed. In a hurry, I'm eager to try something. With the voice of their parents in their head saying that rent is money thrown away, with a friend posting a photo of the key, with the internet couple renovating the kitchen, with that quiet feeling that everyone else is moving forward, except you. Behavioral economics exists because people don't make decisions based solely on numbers, they make decisions based on stories. And the story that many people tell themselves is, if I buy a house, I will finally feel secure. But emotional security cannot depend on a payment that barely fits into the monthly budget. One of the first mistakes is comparing it to the past. You look at what your parents paid for, look at what a relative bought 20 years ago. Look at someone who locked in a low rate before interest rates went up, and he thinks, I lost. This thought creates a sense of urgency. And urgency is dangerous. Because when you believe you're falling behind forever, you start taking risks you would normally refuse. That's the fear of being left out. It's the feeling that if you don't buy now, you'll never buy again. Then you start stretching the budget. Ignore maintenance, it minimizes the tax. Pretend the insurance premium isn't going up. Convince yourself that things will get better in the future. But a house doesn't tolerate fantasy for very long. Another mistake is to transform square footage into identity, as if a bigger house meant a better life, as if a nicer neighborhood proved greater personal worth, as if the perfect kitchen could erase years of financial anxiety. But the most expensive room in the house isn't the kitchen. It's the version of yourself that you're trying to prove. And if you buy a house to maintain an image, perhaps you're not buying stability. Perhaps you are funding a mask. You just need to understand a few simple forces. The first is that house prices have risen faster than many people's rents. This means that even people who earn well look at an ordinary house and think, how did this become a luxury item? The second force is interest rates. When interest rates rise, the house may remain the same, but the mortgage payment changes completely. A house that seemed affordable with a low interest rate can turn into a suffocating purchase with a higher rate. It's as if the price of the front door went up without the house ever moving. The third force is the market freeze. Many people who bought earlier, when interest rates were low, don't want to sell, and that makes sense. Why would someone leave a low-cost mortgage to buy another house with a much higher mortgage payment? Therefore, fewer houses enter the market. Less supply means more competition. More competition means higher prices. The fourth force is the lack of small, affordable housing. In many places, builders prefer to build larger, more expensive, and more profitable houses. This leaves first-time buyers struggling to find properties that are old, distant, ugly, small, or full of repairs. The fifth force is the costs that don't appear in the advertisement photo. Home insurance, property tax, maintenance, condominium or association fees, electricity bill, repairs. And in some states, especially where there is a higher risk of weather-related issues, insurance premiums can rise dramatically. The sixth force is that many people arrive at the market already carrying heavy loads. Student loan, car financing, credit card, crash, health, high rent. All of this reduces purchasing power even before the person looks at their first house. And then there's the competition with cash buyers, investors, family heirlooms, and people who received help you may never have received. So no, this isn't simply laziness. It's not just a lack of discipline. It's not just about stopping drinking expensive coffee. The market has really become more difficult for a lot of people. But here's the part nobody likes to hear. The fact that the market is unfair does not make any purchase safe. Two things can be true at the same time. The system may be more difficult, and its mathematics still needs to be honest. Because the economy can explain why you're frustrated. But she won't be able to pay her mortgage when the house becomes too expensive. The biggest risk is buying a house that turns you into a hostage. There's a very common expression in the United States, house poor. She describes a person who has a house, but no life. The person managed to buy it. He managed to sign. He managed to get the key. She managed to post the photo, but after that, all the money starts revolving around the house. The salary comes in and almost disappears. Payment comes first, then comes the insurance. Then comes the tax, next comes the electricity bill. Then comes maintenance, then comes the repair, which wasn't planned. Then comes that small renovation that starts, so we're just going to replace this year and ends as a serious conversation with the credit card company. And gradually, the house that should represent freedom begins to control all decisions. You stop investing, stop saving money, postpone your doctor's appointment, avoid traveling, argue more with your partner, use your card to cover emergencies. He's stuck in a job he hates because he can't risk losing income. He's turning down opportunities in another city because selling the house now would be complicated. And the most painful thing is that, from the outside, it looks like you won. You have the house, you have the key, you have the address, but deep down, you know you're living on the edge. That's the problem with measuring home purchases by bank approval. Being approved doesn't mean being safe. The bank wants to know if you have a chance of paying. You need to know if you can still live. These are different questions. The wrong question is, what's the maximum amount I can finance? The right question is, what happens to my life if something goes wrong? And something always goes wrong, not because your life is bad, but because life is life. Insurance premiums may increase. The tax may increase, the roof may leak. The car might break down. An income can disappear, a child may be born. A family member may need help, the economy could get even stranger. The job market may cool down, and a house that seemed feasible on closing day can become dangerous when life gets inconvenient. Because true accessibility isn't about being able to sign the contract. True accessibility is being able to get through a bad year without the house destroying everything else. This is the test. It's not a photo of the facade. It's not the kitchen. It's not the feeling of finally owning something. It's the resilience of your life when your home starts demanding more from you, and every house requires it. Some require little, others demand everything. Therefore, before buying, you need to look for hidden costs as if they were already knocking on your door. Property tax, home insurance, maintenance, repairs, furniture, utilities, membership fees, greater displacement, gasoline, time wasted in traffic. Tools, paint, leak, heater, air conditioning. Garden, and that dangerous phrase, "we'll see later." Many people get into financial trouble because of this phrase, "we'll see about the insurance later, we'll see about the reform later, we'll see about the reservation later, we'll see later if the payments get tight." That the house doesn't wait for you to get your emotions in order. She charges, every month, no pity, without understanding that you are tired, regardless of your fantasy. If this video is helping you think more clearly, please like it so it reaches someone who is being pressured to buy a house they may not be able to afford. And comment on this: would you prefer to rent for a longer period and maintain flexibility, or buy a smaller house just to start building wealth? Because that's the real decision. It's not a dream against failure. It's a risk to stability. It's haste versus clarity. It's fantasy versus real life. The approval process looks at cold, hard numbers. Your life is filled with illness. There's a layoff. There is inflation. He has a family. The car has broken down. There are bad months. He's tired. There are changes that don't appear in any financing simulator. Therefore, the first rule is to buy based on your monthly resilience, not the maximum amount someone will let you borrow. Don't just ask, "Can I afford this payment?" Ask yourself, "Can I afford this payment and still continue living?" Are you able to save money? Can you invest? Can you fix the car? Can you handle an emergency? Can you sleep without calculating every purchase at the supermarket? If the answer is no, perhaps the house is too beautiful for your current lifestyle. The second rule is to not go beyond the zero closing balance. Buying a house and then running out of savings is like going into a storm wearing nice clothes, but without a roof over your head. You might even seem fine for a few minutes, but the first blow reveals the truth. After the down payment, after closing costs, after moving, you still need to have money left over. Because the house doesn't wait for you to recover, she starts asking for things immediately. The third rule is to tell everything before falling in love. Payment is only part of it. Some imposed, safe, maintenance. Repairs, utilities, furniture, fees, transport, time. If the house is far away, factor in the cost of the distance. If she's old, factor in the cost of her age. If it's large, factor in the cost of the size. The fourth rule is to respect the entrance house. A first home doesn't have to fulfill all your dreams. She needs to protect her cash flow. Perhaps it's smaller, perhaps it's older. Maybe it's in another neighborhood. Perhaps you have a kitchen that you wouldn't post on the internet. All good. There's no shame in starting small. It's shameful to buy something too big and end up feeling suffocated. The fifth rule is to understand that renting is not a failure. Sometimes, renting is about flexibility. It's protection. It's time to save more money. It's time to pay off debts. It's time to stop turning anxiety into a 30-year contract. The sixth rule is not to buy from someone if the legal and financial structure is not clear. Love doesn't replace a contract. Trust is no substitute for deeds. Good intentions don't pay for financing when the relationship changes. The seventh rule is to choose payment method and location before aesthetics. You can change the ink, you can change the flooring, you can change the lighting, but it's much harder to change a hefty mortgage payment, an unviable neighborhood, or a distance that disrupts your routine. And the last rule is simple: never let the fear of falling behind choose a 30-year debt for you. Fear screams, clarity speaks volumes. But clarity often saves your financial life. The right home should extend your life, not suffocate it. It may require effort, but it shouldn't require you to disappear inside it. The goal isn't to have the biggest house, the most beautiful kitchen, the most desirable neighborhood, or the most compelling photo of your life. The goal is to sleep well. It's about having a home that doesn't destroy your peace. It's about having an address that protects your routine, not an address that requires you to sacrifice everything else. In a tough real estate market, wisdom isn't about buying your dream home as quickly as possible. Wisdom is having the courage to buy calmly. It's about choosing a home that may not be perfect, but that doesn't make you feel vulnerable. It's about understanding that a house can be a blessing or a trap. And the difference often isn't in the house, that's the reason why you bought it. If you buy something to try it, your house becomes a stage. If you buy out of fear, the house becomes a prison. If you buy with clarity, the house becomes a haven. And that's what a house should be, not a trophy, not a funded fantasy, not an attempt to convince the world that you've arrived. A home should be a place where your life can breathe, so buy the house that fits your life. Not in your comparison, not in your hurry, not in the idealized version of who you think you should be. Buy the house you can afford when money is tight, when the economy changes, when life happens. Comment below, what scares you more, renting forever or buying the wrong house? Leave a like if this video helped you think more clearly. Now watch the video that's appearing on the screen, because it explains another financial trap that seems normal until it starts controlling your life.